Hello everyone, I'm Ankit and you're watching StudyIQ IS English. In our today's video, we'll try to understand why are Tana Bhagats protesting in the state of Jharkhand. Now the reason why we are covering this video today is because the Tana Bhagat community living in and around the state of Jharkhand, they are protesting against a national highway project which the government is laying down under the Bharatmala scheme. Now this particular project which passes through the villages of Gumla district in Jharkhand, the tribals feel that it will diminish their access to ancestral land, forest, religious sites, as well as most importantly, their community spaces. Now you need to understand for tribals, the access to community spaces are some protections which are constitutionally guaranteed to them. So the core issue that we are going to discuss here, how government's acquisition of a land for any developmental project comes in conflict with constitutionally guaranteed protections for the tribals in India. But to understand this, we'll first have to know what are the essential features and characteristics of this Tana Bhagat community, right? Now the notes which I will be using for our today's session, you can also download them by going to the Telegram channel called as ETS Live. And while you're on this channel downloading the notes, please do not forget to subscribe to the channel as well. So let us start our first discussion, or let us start this topic by understanding who particularly are the Tana Bhagat communities. Now these communities belong to the group of Adivasis who belong to Oraon tribe, and they are specifically found in the Chotanagpur region. Now historically this community is very well known for their resistance against the British colonial rule, in addition to resistance of local zamindars, taxation policies of the government and exploitative policies of the British era. Similarly, this movement, which began in 1910, specifically 1914, was led by Jatra Bhagat. So you need to understand how this movement actually began, what it led to, in order to understand how this community actually functions even in today's time, that is in 2026. Now this Tana Bhagat movement is essentially regarded as an extension of the earlier Birsa Munda rebellion. Birsa Munda rebellion, also called as Ulgulan Revolt, was a very popular revolt which happened in the Chotanagpur region, led obviously by the mystic figure Bhagwan Birsa Munda. Now there are very much similarities between the Tana Bhagat movement as well as the Birsa movement. This was to protect tribal identity. They resisted exploitation and challenged the British authority in the Chotanagpur region. So let us try to understand how this Tana Bhagat movement actually happened. Now this began in April 1914. Here Jatra Bhagat announced that he had a message from the god Dharmesh. God Dharmesh is the god of Oraon tribe. The message of the god Dharmesh to Jatra Bhagat was to revive the Oraon religion in order to purify this Oraon religion. Why purification of Oraon religion was needed? Because at that time there had been some bad practices like exorcism, ghost hunting, animal sacrificing, alcoholism, which was prevalent in the community, and this had, after entered into the religion, needed to be abandoned in order to purify the Oraon tribe's religion, right? So this religious issue formed the basis of the movement, and later on it was transformed into a political movement. So why the transformation to the political movement was needed? Let us understand this. In this movement, the Oraon tribals, particularly the Tana Bhagats, they opposed the influence of influential people in their communities like the Pahans, priests, or the village representatives known as Mahato. It was believed that these people are the ones who promoted superstition to be inculcated into their particular tribe. In addition to that, at that time, British rule was prevalent in India, and their land policies led to gradual transfer of tribal lands to the outsiders, like moneylenders, like landlords, which caused insecurity in the eyes of Oraon cultivators. Similarly, it also weakened the connect that the traditional community had towards their own land. In addition to all of this, what happened that the Oraon peasants, they suffered due to excessive land rent demands which was made by the landlords and zamindars. In addition to that, they were also being compelled to perform unpaid labor. So according to these practices, the Oraon tribe felt that first of all, they were earlier the controllers of the land, but this control passed to the zamindars and they were made to work on their own land as an unpaid labor. So you need to understand this Tana Bhagats, they wanted Swaraj. This Swaraj for Tana Bhagat was not just a Swaraj from British rule, but also liberation from the oppression that time was done by zamindars, outsiders at that time were known as dikus, and exploitative administrative system. Now this movement had a very positive impact on the psyche of the Oraon tribe, that even today this movement has become very closely associated with Gandhian ideology. What is Gandhian ideology known for? Gandhian ideology is basically known for being non-violent. So even today you will find Oraon tribe members wearing white clothes, wearing white caps, and they carry the tricolor while practicing at very honestly the principles of non-violence. And they have even continued to adopt certain cultural practices, which includes abstaining from animal sacrifices, abstaining from alcoholism, abstaining from custom religious practices which other tribes of this area follow. So in one way they are tribals, but in their practices they have reformed themselves due to the influence of the Gandhian ideology. Right? So now, keeping this in mind, let us understand what is happening in the state of Jharkhand right now. Now, these Tana Bhagat people, they are mainly concentrated in few districts of Jharkhand, that is in the Chotanagpur region. Districts like Gumla, the capital of Ranchi, Lohardaga, Khoti, Palamu, etc. And their population numbers to around 20,000 people. Some of these Tana Bhagats, they also can be found in parts of Chhattisgarh, which is the neighboring state of Jharkhand. Now, what is the project due to which the protests are happening? So let us understand this project first. This project includes construction of a 32.4 kilometer route on the Jharkhand-Chhattisgarh border region, and this 32.4 kilometer long road is a part of Raipur-Dhanbad Economic Corridor, popularly called as the Raipur-Dhanbad Expressway. Now the government is constructing this 700 kilometer long 4-lane access control expressway in order to provide faster connectivity in the nearby industrial hubs as well as coal and the nearby mining regions. Now, with the budgetary support of 1200 crore rupees, the government ultimately wants to reduce the travel time between these two areas, which currently is 16 hours, and it will reduce to just 9 hours. So this is a major developmental project that has been ongoing. Now let us try to understand why the protests are happening. Back in January 2023, government issued a notification under Section 3A of the National Highways Act, which gives government the power to procure land in order to construct national highways. Government, in its notification, highlighted its intention to acquire land for the highway project and also invited the people to raise the objections, and this objection can also be raised by the affected person. Now, few months after that, in April 2023, the government again issued a notification under the Section 3D of the same National Highways Act. Under this notification, the government stated that we had considered and received the objections, but we are categorizing and rejecting these notifications. As a result, the land acquisition was declared to be final. Right? So this is what has happened. Now, why are Tana Bhagats protesting against this? We need to understand this. First of all, the Tana Bhagats highlighted that we are tribals living in a part of our country which is declared as a fifth schedule area. Now, fifth schedule in the Indian Constitution, you know, it is a protection given to scheduled tribes and their respective areas. Under the fifth schedule, the governor of the state becomes empowered to direct that any law which has been passed by the parliament or the state legislature, they can be made applicable to the scheduled area only after some modifications. And to work or to allow for this modification, who has the power to grant the permission for the modification? It is the Gram Sabhas of the region. So the Gram Sabhas in the fifth schedule areas are empowered to approve or reject any developmental project. And as a result, the villagers have highlighted that the government has sought no approval or the consent from the Gram Sabha, and as a result, this becomes the violation of the very constitutional provision that guarantees protection to the tribal communities. Now, to operationalize the fifth schedule, there has been an act which has been passed by the Parliament, Panchayat Extension to Scheduled Areas Act 1996. This act, popularly called as PESA Act, it gives again the Gram Sabha the power to decide on procurement of land or for any developmental project or taking or granting of resource from the scheduled areas. Now, what happened that at that time when the notification was issued, the time was 2023, but at that time there was this no implementation of PESA Act in the state of Jharkhand, and as a result the Jharkhand High Court in Ranchi pulled up the state government in order to implement the PESA Act and frame necessary rules, and after it was framed only last year after the Jharkhand High Court's rebuke to the government. So what do you understand from this? That the tribals were made or they were eligible for protection under PESA Act. But at that time, in the state of Jharkhand, there was no implementation of the PESA Act. So this is a violation. Now, the third grievance of the tribal community, especially the Oraon tribes, is that they have violated the Chotanagpur Tenancy Act because of the procurement done under the National Highways Act. Now, if you look at this Colonial Era Act, the Chotanagpur Tenancy Act, it restricts the transfer of tribal land in the Chotanagpur region to the outsiders. And the government has sidestepped this by proceeding the procurement of this land purely under the National Highways Act. But in addition to all of this legal and constitutional violation, there is also some social grievances that has been raised by the tribals. The villagers have felt that this acquisition of land has impacted their access to the Sarna religious sites, which are Sarna Sthals, Pahan priest lands, or even the agricultural holdings. So these are the all the reasons why the Tana Bhagats are protesting against this particular developmental project. But before ending this video, let us try to understand what is the government's position in this particular protest. Now, the government has stated that after we issued the original notification in the January of 2022, the Gumla Deputy Commissioner conducted a survey and concluded that as per the original plan of NHAI, the original alignment of the road actually passed through certain eco-sensitive areas as well as the nearby Palkot Wildlife Sanctuary. So, in order to approve the violation of this particular access, the NHAI actually approved their option 3, which means the original plan was made or it was revised in order to approve or in order to provide access to the tribals of their ancestral land. And this revised route does not affect any access to Sarna Sthal or Adivasi religious sites according to the government. Now, government has made another argument. Government has stated that the authority have moved ahead and as a result, they have transferred 85% of the affected landholders with their much needed compensation, which amounted to 380 crore rupees. So according to the government, the protests which are happening, it is the remaining resistance and it cannot be seen as a legitimate dissent because the majority, as much as 85% of the compensation money has already been transferred. So what did we understand from this discussion? That this tension actually exists when a centrally driven connectivity infrastructure project takes place and at the same time it violates some of the constitutionally guaranteed self-governance protections which are given to the tribal. And this problem currently is affecting the state of Jharkhand, but it can affect any other area where the tribals live in majority. So this is our conclusion for our today's discussion. Now, before we move forward and try to solve some of the questions that have appeared on this very topic, something that we have discussed today, there is a very important announcement. Now, in GS Foundation courses, you are provided classes for all the subjects that are relevant for UPSC. So the topic that we did today, constitutional provisions or protections extended to the tribals, are very much part of Indian polity. To get classes for all the subjects, you can consider taking admissions to the foundation batches. In foundation batches, which are offered separately for English and Hindi as well as in bilingual format, you can take admissions either in 2027 or 2028 batches, and all of them are subscribing to the model of SMART. What is a SMART model? It is structured classes, mentorship, assessment, revision and test. Now, to take admissions to any of these batches, which are going to start from 6th of June, you can go to our website, but before making the payment, if you apply the code ATS Live, you're going to get maximum discounts. So these are the questions that I want you to solve. The first question is from 2019. Try to solve this question. Do let me know the correct answer. This is the second question from 2020. Very easy. With the reference of history of India, Ulgulan or the Great Tumult is a description of which of the following event? This is the second question. And the third is the one from 2022. If a particular area is brought under 5th schedule of the Constitution of India, which one of the following best reflects the consequence of that? So please do let me know the correct answers of all these three questions that I've shown you. All these three are UPSC PYQs, can be solved easily if you go through our today's video very diligently. And the ones who are waiting to download the notes, you can go to a particular Telegram channel called as ATS Live. So this is all from my side for today. Please have a very good day. We'll see each other again tomorrow.